Hello, welcome to Frank's School. 40th day of the fourth year. First video and only video today, I think. Going on with Pioneers, Pioneers, O Pioneers, a quote from Walt Whitman. Robert MacNeil is still dealing with the American West. The part about the American Indian is very short, almost non-existent, but then that's in a way what happened. As I said before, like the Welsh in Britain. It would be good if you could get a version of this with a better sound. I've said that quite a few times, and better, easier to see than what's on YouTube. But it's there. You have to go across the break. It might be worth fast forwarding. It might be worth it actually to go that far. If you were doing this more than once in a classroom, you might decide, I'm going to go to the break and stop. That might work fine. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, a very famous poem. And I find myself thinking of that background quest of mine. Walt Whitman never won me. By Walt Whitman, he's a very famous American poet, but by his time, the beauty is falling out of the classics for me. Well, anyway, 1869 is mentioned as the. I don't deny that Walt Whitman's good. It's just that for me, I don't love it. 1869 is given as a year. That's when the railroads united. We had the Transcontinental Railroad. It was across the continent. And I had not before just today connected the level. I knew about this, the leveling of the American accent as you go west. As you go west in the United States, the accents all the way from the southwest to the northwest, they're not all that different. You can have vast areas where you can't really tell by the way somebody speaks. Whereas along the East Coast, they're quite extreme. But anyway, that American English, that's what, as he says, the world thinks of American English as that, what went west. It's not that different from the way I speak. And there's a reason for that, because Pennsylvania, let's see, Pennsylvania, Ohio, out that way, the people traveled out, that was one of the main routes that they went. And this Pennsylvania, Ohio accent, Midwest, was taken to the west, and then it's fanned out. The expressions, he gives a lot of expressions, and it occurred to me that maybe the students, you could have, if you were using this in a public school, have the students write them down, or at least write some of them down, to get them to notice them. I'm not going to do it here. English versus American, in the case of the railroads. I found that quite interesting. He doesn't mention it, certainly he shouldn't, but I found myself thinking of Reed Kellogg and their system of diagramming sentences. That is American. It is not known. It is not recognized in the former British Empire or in England. And as I've argued elsewhere in this course, I think it's much better. But the British just don't seem to be able to even think about it like that. But the Reed Kellogg, they developed their system somewhere around that time. Mark Twain was of that time too, and he's mentioned. Now Mark Twain, there might be a spot for me to find, because I love Huckleberry Finn. I love it. And Tom Sawyer, his other book, even more. So here's but he's really almost the last of the American writers that I love. And with him, it's not that much. And there's a lot of his work that I don't love as much. But so he's right about at that point, which I'm looking for. I never heard Hemingway's comment, though, about how there was nothing before it and nothing after it. Interesting to me. I don't care too much for Hemingway. Hemingway's writing was of the 1920s, and I've read it, some of it, but it just doesn't do it for me. It calls them the American tribe. Oh, the English. I didn't know that either. It was in England that they discovered Huckleberry Finn. The Americans, it wasn't suitable to print. Well, he explains that. Well, then he's going to jump to the cities, New York City, and begin to talk about immigrants and their effect on American English. Italian food, as an example, and then German. He points out that German was the second language in the United States for a while. And I would go on to say that here in Pennsylvania, it very nearly became the first language. There was quite a debate about what language would be used in the public schools in Pennsylvania, and ultimately it was English. But it was not obvious, and had German been used in the public schools, well, just think how different things would be. Then along came the World War I and World War II's, and you know, well, he explains it. I mean, your German heritage was a problem. And then I would stop. But the thing about that, I'm not willing to let that go away. But the German didn't go away. It's just that was kind of a stopper. That was such a huge traumatic event in the entire world. Well, I would stop before he gets on to the Jews and the Yiddish, and it would be right there. And then we're with easy reach of the end tomorrow. See you then, I hope.